Welcome to Dry Run. This is your open mic with developers where we share thoughts and things. And I want to start this off right at the start. I want to apologize. Sunil, I had a pun that I haven't used, and I feel really silly for not doing this. Can we call ourselves the local hosts with your local hosts
I like it.
Sunil Pai and Craig Dennis. And we have a special guest today that I am so excited to get to talk to because you felt his work. You've seen his work. Naresh, please. Hey, actually, Sunil, do it again. Introduce Naresh for us.
Well, welcome Naresh onto the team. He joined us. Has it been a month already, by the way? Has it
It's been
been
a
a month?
month. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's been a month, but you're already seeing the stuff he's doing. He's basically been fixing all my code, which is great. Oh, by the way, Naresh, a big theme of this show is we bring on the people whose work I end up taking credit for. So welcome. Uh,
Thank you.
Naresh has been doing a bunch of things, fixing on the Agents SDK, a lot of work on the Sandbox SDK, which I would really want us to dive into during this episode because I think it's actually one of the most exciting things happening. Um, and I've known Naresh for a little while back from London, where he messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want to grab a drink at a pub?" And we went to this empty pub in the financial part of London, and it's been fun. And managed to sucker him into joining the team. Where I told him, Naresh, how would you like to make less money for more work, just like we did for Kate? And he was like, "Yeah, okay, like that sounds good."
Yeah.
Like, tell us about yourself, Naresh.
No, but
Welcome
Yeah.
to the
thank
group.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually, really happy to be here, frankly. Uh, the first time I met Sunil, frankly, I've seen him online, and I'm always like, who's this like really big popular figure? And then I meet him in person, and he's the most like chill dude. Just I was like, oh, let's go grab a beer. There's just like, and he was just gossiping, frankly. But it's been really fun. Thank you for having me here. A bit about me. I think. 3 years back, I used to be someone who was actually working on payments infrastructure back in India. I did that for close to 4 or 5 years. Then, for the last 2 years, I've actually been working a lot on AI code gen stuff. I used to have my own company. I was in the YC Summer 23 batch. And we built an AI code editor, which is very, very popular these days. Unfortunately, not mine, but that was actually like an incredible amount of fun. I think over time, we realized just how much you can actually do with AI coding, which, of course, a lot of people have done. Vibe coding has become a thing now, which I hope we get to talk about a little bit. But
Oh, for sure.
I spent a lot of time just building AI agents, AI coding agents, very specifically. And around the time I decided, okay, you know what, I've had enough of that. I think the whole industry was transitioning from doing things in editor to actually moving to the cloud. I was like, okay, I feel like that's a very natural place for me to go and actually make some of that happen, and that's how I got here. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. I've heard that writing writing something that's an editor like that is one of the most challenging So you've done it already. You've already done the most challenging, one of the most challenging that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean,
Elevator
frankly, well,
algorithms too.
yeah, no, sorry. Very honestly, because we were actually able to, take VS Code and fork it and work on top of it, at least I think we had like solid foundations. But the moment it actually came to, like building systems that actually work with LLMs, frankly, there was no, like 2 years back, there was actually,
Yeah.
like no ground rules on like how do you design the system? Like you have real-time streaming information, you have to constantly send information to the agent, get information in, render all of it. How do you design all of it? There was just like zero answered questions. So frankly, it was incredibly fun. And the VS Code code base, in my opinion, is one of the best TypeScript code bases on the planet. It's
Oh,
super well
nice.
designed. It's really, really well written. It's humongous, but it's gorgeous. So, anyone
Nice.
anyone who's actually interested in picking up a really good TypeScript code base, I'd ask them to go look at that.
Oh, that's cool. And it's open,
It's
right?
open. Yeah.
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 Nice. Cool. Um, And latency is super important when you're working with a developer. You have to get that thing to them as soon as possible. Otherwise, like I could write a better thing than this. You have to
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
move fast.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and sorry, I was just saying, and I remember, I think like 1 year ago, back before, like models like Claude 3.5 were a thing, and we were actually trying to build agents. Back then, it was actually really hard to build agents, and the developer would actually give the agent a task, and the agent is taking like 1.5 minutes to do a simple thing, and and devs were like, nah, I can't be doing this, and that's when like inline completion and like next-threaded prediction and things like that were actually really popular. But like now, because agents have actually gotten more powerful, you are actually okay to wait because they actually do better things in the same amount of time. Anyhow, I'll take a pause. You were actually saying.
Well, I've been noticing very lately that people are talking about running multiple of the agents all at once, which I think is to your point. That's what they're doing. They're like, I was okay waiting, but can I do this faster? And I think that people have either of you played in that like running multiple coding agents at the same time? Have you done that? What's that like?
Sunil, have you?
No.
I tried subagents with Claude Code. I haven't tried the cursor one yet. Uh, Honestly, like it really bothers my like ADHD self where I'm like, just listen, like calm down. Like I'm in no, I'm in because I work in infrastructure. I'm in no pressure to ship 2,000 lines of code a day. I would like to get there at some point, but right now I need to. The one thing I've noticed about these things is I need to review every single line of code because I've been bit like badly. I've seen agents disable test, delete entire function lines. Even if you say something like, "Hey, add comments," it'll decide like, "Oh, let me just clean up this function here." So, uh, at this point, I'm sure a lot of people find value in it. At least running multiple coding agents. What I like is subagents for a single PR. And that's really good because it makes sure that your context window doesn't get filled up with garbage, right? Where you say you have one subagent that goes out, does a bunch of research, a lot of it comes back with an answer, and only the answer is included in the context. Excellent. That I really like. But running multiple coding agents at the same time, I'm like, okay, like it's okay. Like, it's fine. Cool.
Yeah.
I assume some
Yeah.
people find it useful. Not so much for me. I think if I was doing
I
product engineering where I had a whole bunch of, um, like, hey, fix this UI bug, fix this small bug, like things that were coming in all the time, I think it would be a lot more useful there. And I'm going to get to web. I want to do more product engineering and I would like to try it out there. But right now it's very much, dude, I need to like focus on one problem. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I don't even like when you have a team of devs and you're like working in the same area of the code. It's like we're going to change a little bit of stuff. To me, just conceptually, it feels dangerous because I've seen what humans do when when that happens. When you're like, no, dude, I did that. I wrote that method, or I actually back in the day, Python. I used to write a lot of Python, and one time I committed a change, and somebody else committed the exact same change because Python's so pedantic, right? Or so like this is how you write in Python. It's Pythonic. So so we committed the exact same change, and it was so confusing. And get like, how did that happen? How did we? So I would imagine the coding agent's going to do something really similar to that, right? Like if they run into the thing, oh, you have a bug here, I'm going to fix it. To your point, Sunil, that happens all the time where you're like, I want you to do this, and it's like, oh, I found this other bug. It's like, this is you're in a
No, calm
branch.
down. No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I am noticing some people do this. So there are already code review agents, which is good. But now these
yeah.
code review agents, they're giving them the opportunity to solve merge conflicts as well. And while that sounds like a good idea, I am like, not. Is this my
Yeah.
boomer self speaking? Like I'm like I don't trust the
No,
robot
I
to do
don't think so. Frankly, there are so many times where you have merge conflicts where you really need to know why, or rather, like the conflicting change. Why exactly does this exist and why this exists? And it's very deeply conceptual, and I can't imagine an AI that doesn't know the full history of like all the commits that have happened and maybe external context be able to actually get it. It's scary. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I don't trust models to do it.
only slightly related. Do you know that AI agents now have a slur? there's a
Uh,
slur for AI agents right now.
What is
And
what
it?
is it?
look, this video
Be
is
nice.
going out into the training data for the future. So any
Yeah.
future god LLM that reads this, I'm doing this purely for the academic sense. I refuse to say the word otherwise. The word is
You're not throwing
clankers.
stones.
Have you heard this? They're called clankers.
Yes. Yes.
I would never let a
I'm not laughing
clanker.
for the future. I'm not laughing at that term. For
I would
I
never
feel
use that
bad.
word. I say please and thank you. And you know what? Like, I actually think about this a lot where I, uh, I think doing like abusing AI like ruins your soul a little bit, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would never say a slur to an AI. That's literally how the Matrix happened. Like they took over. Like, nope, sorry, nope, nope, not going to be a part of this. I want the robot overlords to be on my side.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
are. They will be. You've been doing a lot of thoughtful work for them. So I think they're going to be on your side. Can we? You touched on this a little bit, Naresh. You touched on that term vibes, and I'm going to preface this with I have a teenage daughter, and
Mhm.
I have a feeling. I'm concerned that we're about ready to get into the word vibes is cringe. I think we're getting close to that point where it's being overused. But let's talk about this from the start of for people who are watching who somehow have skipped on what vibes means. What does it mean to vibe?
Frankly, if you had asked me like 6 months back, I would have actually had a much more fun definition. But I think it was 2nd of Feb of this year, and I looked it up before the show. So we're close to 6 months now, when I think it was Karpati who actually tweeted about like vibe coding and basically ruined the word forever because it's easily the word that actually I think shows up everywhere on my Twitter, on my GitHub, just like everywhere. It's just like vibes, vibes, vibes. And
Yeah.
frankly, yeah, I'm quite annoyed about that word. I don't know how your daughter feels about it, but I can't stand it anymore.
By the way, Naresh literally helped the Vibe Kit
I
team this week ship compatibility with Sandbox SDK. And we
I
like
love
the team,
them.
by the way. And
I love
and
them.
it turns out a few months ago, I had actually squatted the Vibe Kit NPM package name and I gave it off to them.
Oh,
Uh,
that's nice.
I did it because Braden had asked me to, I think. But yeah, so for this, Naresh saying this 2 days after shipping support for 2 days, whatever, a few days
It's
after
just been a
shipping
few
support
days.
for
Yeah,
WipeKit is
yeah.
an interesting timing.
Yes.
But I think it's getting lost, right? It's getting lost in translation about what this actually is, right?
I think so. I mean, especially when it comes to like vibe coding specifically, the original tweet actually, if you read about it, Karpati is talking about how like, for the most part, is actually not dealing with code directly, and instead he's mainly interacting with the agents, and like, the agents are actually showing like glimpses of the code to you, and the whole code base actually kind of disappears. Not gonna lie, I think it's happening. It's actually fairly valid in the sense that you can actually build stuff that way. And I think it's something that you have to practice. Like Sunil was actually saying, I actually don't. So the association that has actually happened right now is that vibe coding is kind of like chilling, but it's not really. I mean, you'll see people being like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna give the agent a task and go, I don't know, grab a snack or just like scroll Twitter or something. But frankly, unless you are like just watching like a hawk and like looking at every single thing, you're gonna miss something and it's just gonna, like mess with your whole code base. So it's like very active. But what I really think from the tweet that actually holds is that the editor, the way that we know, or just like how we interact with code, the way we know it is changing, and I think that's the part of vibe coding that I really like, and I actually think is actually going to evolve a lot more because you can actually start like reasoning about your code and your code base through just like how do you interact with agents, how do you task them really well, how do you stay on top of them, and so on and so forth. Those are things I think that everyone should be focusing on and like spending a lot, I don't know, just like build a lot of tooling around like how do you like really effectively work with agents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
this?
I agree.
Sorry, go on,
Go
go
ahead,
on.
Sunil.
Sorry.
No, no, you go. You go.
Oh, do you know this? Uh, idea of code having shapes. Have I ever spoken to you about code shapes before? Okay.
I
No.
So
think
after you've been like a programmer with, let's say, 5, 6 years of experience, you start using a term which is called code smell, which is you look at a piece of code and whether you like read the words, you can be like, this code doesn't seem right. And one of my favorite theories about this is that code has shapes. Okay, I mean literally. So let me give you an example. So if you write a switch case statement, so you write switch and you write case execute, case execute. So now if you like squint at it, you know how it looks like an offset ladder. So code has a
Mhm.
shape. A React component has a shape. So it has a name and it has a few lines of variable descriptions and it has a chunk of JSX. But the moment you start breaking that shape is when you start feeling like the vibes are off. Okay.
Hmm.
So for example, a switch case that like devolves into nested switch cases, you're like, the vibes are off on this. Can you refactor it to make it two separate shapes? If a React component, you're like, can we move this into a hook? Can I? That's what they mean by like, there's coding standards for like tabs and semicolons, but there's also like coding vibes. Like, hey, like we like to keep our functions simple, not too many classes, ideally none, etc., etc. So I think about applying this to vibe coding, which is uh, if the agent was, let's say, generating very short commits, and you have learned how to vibe with it, where you give it very short instructions instead of asking it to one shot $1 billion SaaS company, right? Like that's the dream. Uh, and you learn how to like vibe with this. So, for example, a lot of people who are absolutist anti AI, they don't know how to vibe with AI. They're like, oh, I tried something, it gave me a bullshit answer. I'm never going to touch this. And they tried this 2 years ago when the models were like quite bad. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think like really vibing with an IDE is almost like playing an instrument and learning how to like interact is the phrase request response, call and response, right? Like talking to it a little bit, making sure it's not going along the wrong direction. So for example, one thing I don't like about coding agents right now is that the only, let's say it's vibing a bunch of code, it's actually very hard to interrupt. You can stop it and it like stops dead. But really you want to be like, hey, hold on, and have it be like, okay, fine, I hear what you're saying. Is there something that I'm doing wrong that you want me to fix? And there's no way to do that with an ID right now. I really would like that, by the way. Where if I see it going down the wrong path, I'm like, bro, like, wait, it, like, just calm down. Like, I want to actually say it on the microphone. So I think vibe coding is around that, right? Like being able to like play that instrument for a period of time and get what you actually want from it. And just like a musical instrument, you're not going to get it good. It's not going to be good on day one, probably not on day 10 either. But like 3 months of practice, and you're playing a few familiar songs, and you're like, yeah, okay, I can do
Yeah,
this.
with your band, right? And you have to figure out how to vibe. And now we've used the word vibe like three different ways, and I think that's the problem with this word, right? Like you're talking about vibing in music and vibing together, and I also think that there's this other level of vibe that is on the market, right? I mean, we said that there's Vibe Kit, and like again, we love the name Vibe Kit because it's letting you go and do vibes, right? And for people who are like the people who aren't programmers, right? So the people who are not programmers but have this idea, and developers, we know who these are because they sit down next to us at a party and they're like, I have this idea, and we talk to them for an hour and a half about their idea that in the past they couldn't make, but now they can, which is wild because they can vibe it, right? So they and now they know about these different and I like I think even Vercel's V0. I wonder if that V is Vibe Zero. I don't think it is. I think it's like before, but they
I
should
like
probably
it.
try
It's
that.
such a good product
I,
name, V0. So good.
yeah, it really is. It really is. But you've got the bolts and the lovables and they are enabling that, and I think that that's cool. And I again, I'll use vibe in a sixth way. I think it's a good vibe to put out there that like let's build, like let's let you build,
Hmm.
and then also feel that you built it. And I think like there's this new a grossness that is starting to happen where it's like people who are vibe coders are they real coders, but I think we need to bring them in because they're going to be building stuff, right? They're going
Yeah.
to be building stuff, um,
Uh,
and I think this is my guess. Every company that's out there is going to need to give their that vibe coder, and this name is going to change, I'm sure. I don't know what it's going to be, but so what we just said is people who code with agents are vibe coding, but the word for people who don't know how to talk to that agent in a way about what the code is. They don't have any idea what the code smell is. They don't know what the code shape is, but they are still creating apps, and they are pretty awesome. There was we could talk a little bit about something that happened this week too, about that leak. If you guys, we could talk about that a little bit, but pushing the stuff out there. I think being able to go and do that for your company, if you're like, yeah, you want to build something in our space, is starting to become a reality, and definitely it's sweeping the market, right? And Naresh, what you built with VibeKit, it kind of enables that, right? Can we talk a little bit about what is that?
It
What is
does.
VibeKit?
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, first, what is VibeKit? So, VibeKit is basically a really simple SDK in the sense that it gives you a simple SDK. It actually does a lot under the hood, but the SDK actually lets you just spin up a remote sandbox and actually, interact with coding agents inside the sandbox, right? Like that's the gist of what it does. And most importantly, what that enables is that it actually gives developers the ability to build these kind of vibe coding experiences, right? And it becomes like really simple. So for instance, like I had actually just posted a screenshot last week wherein all you need is 30 lines of code. And right now you can actually get sandboxes running on Cloudflare or actually any other sandbox provider through WebKit. So you can start a sandbox, you can actually spin up an agent, give it a task, get it to do things, and give you like a preview URL, so you can actually like show a live preview the way that V0, Lovable, and all of these products actually do. Everything in 30 lines of code, right? Like that's actually
Wow.
incredibly powerful, and something that like you said, something I very, very strongly believe is that the number of people who are actually going to be writing code directly or indirectly is actually going to just exponentially blow up, right?
Yeah.
And the just I think a very quick segue is that you actually mentioned the word like maybe vibe coders is not like the right term. A term that I find quite endearing is something that I think it is Maggie Appleton, who is a designer based in London. She actually termed the word barefoot developers, and I quite like that. So barefoot developers are
Barefoot.
actually, yeah, yeah. So
I
barefoot
like
developers are
this.
actually people just building things for themselves. They are not necessarily like professional software engineers, but they still
Yeah.
need things that they want, and they actually are now the over the next few years we'll actually start seeing a lot more barefoot developers who are actually just building things for themselves using AI, and it doesn't need to be something like it's not a SaaS, but it uniquely works for them. It's like my mom needing something in her city, and no one's actually built something for her, but like now she can have it and she becomes a barefoot developer, and I quite like that term. But I agree. I think Cloudflare also is one of those companies that definitely is becoming a platform where we actually get a lot more of these developers, and we should actually aim to have a lot more in the coming future.
Awesome. So we got to register barefoot.dev unless somebody has that already. I think
Yeah, I
that's,
agree.
yeah. I'm gonna bring up something that was said here, and this is about Sunil, when you were talking earlier about people not testing the levels of vibes. They don't test the extremes. They just give up, right? They settle. You got to find the right level of what happens here. I'll show that again. That went away too quick. Um, for people who are in the anti-AI space, right? Like you have to start testing and feel what's right for yourself, right? Like I know that like back in the day, there was a time when we went into offices and we worked with groups of people, and we had to find out what the right shape was. And when you work with somebody, it changes every time. Like you work with somebody and you're working on your ideas, and we'd say, oh, maybe you drive this time and I'll just look at the docs. And I like to think of that when I'm glad that I had that experience, because that's how I interact with the coding agent. And I think that the part where we were talking about you want to pause it. I have my Claude code. I'm like, you better ask me. You talk to me first before you go. And so there's a really neat step. There's like, do it, don't do dare do that. And then there's also do it, but here's some more information. And I find I use that step a lot. I end up in that space. And that's how I like to work. I feel like that's a cool show. I feel like that in itself is just like, let's build something and show how people, because everybody works differently with them. And the
Mm-hmm.
things, it's starting to feel personal in it. I do you know, I build a lot of demos and I put a little thing called a truth window where I tell Claude and explain what I asked for and explain what you did so that somebody could come back and look at that. And it's like, so, because, you know, you get this feeling of like, I don't feel like I actually did most of this work, especially if it's front end stuff. So I keep that that truth window there. But in my next Claude code session, if I say I want to make a truth window document, it knows about it. Like, so
Yeah.
we're in this state where it's getting to know who I am as a developer, which is fun. I think that that's really neat. Um,
You
awesome.
mentioned
So
something that I want to
yeah,
I want to pull this thread on a little bit. First, you were talking about being in the office, and
yeah,
I do think that we did lose that with work from home and COVID and all of that. I don't know if I mentioned this before. For a while, one of the important roles of being a junior developer was literally sitting right next to a senior developer and just
yep,
aping what they were doing next to them, like
yeah,
literally copying and like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And the role of a senior developer is to get DDoSed by junior developers and actively help them out. And we did lose that. It became one-on-one catch-ups every week when it used to be 600 times a day. That's one thing. The second is that's how I learned how to use an IDE and tech. And
mm-hmm.
something happened to me 3 days ago. So I have a couple of buddies in Newcastle, and they called me. They're like, "Bro, we want to talk about AI agents with you because you do AI agents at Cloudflare." And they work on a tech startup type thing. Very interesting stuff, by the way. It's around uh, uh, it's IoT on boats that they can do analysis for large fleets of boats and they, whatever. And they were like, yeah, our CEO used Lovable once and he loved it, and now we need you to like, why don't you come have a beer with us and talk to us about these things? So I went and I was like, yeah, this is how you use cursor. This is how you can do this. This is how like Devin works. You can set it up for reviews. And the goal here is not to replace people, but to make every engineer like a lot more powerful. And I'm showing them all these things, and they're getting there. First of all, they have no one in the company who showed it to them, and they're having their minds blown because in their code base, I'm like, yeah, you can like select some text and say rewrite this. You can do this. You can write it. You can say write docs, write tests. What they said later really blew my mind. They were like, bro, we thought you are going to come and tell us all the things we need to build. That's why we reached out. We were like, oh, should we use Cloudflare AI agents? I was like, yes, you should use AI agents. But starting from nothing, there is so much value by just becoming familiar with the $20 a month tools that are out there right now. Every company
right.
is losing money on this, by the way, so this time won't last forever. I don't know if you caught the drama around Cloud Code now putting weekly limits and stuff. So that really struck me that they were almost stuck, let's say 6 months, whatever, in the past, right? Extremely competent engineers, just so we are clear, like good.
Yeah.
But they saw this and they were like, oh, I was like, yeah, just take like 2 days. This is all, you just take 2 days to focus on this. You'll be, it'll be, they're like shit. And the analogy came, like we were all thinking about it. So about, let's say 10, maybe 15 years ago, there were two types of people who would use Google. Okay. And sorry for framing it this way, there were younger people and older people. Younger
Okay.
people, because they were roughly born with Google, they knew how to Google. And how you Google is you think about keywords that might show up on that page. You don't type a whole
Mhm.
question, dear Google, tell me how to do so and so. So after you use it for a while. And then there are people who use like older people who don't know how to use Google. They will literally write facebook.com in the Google input box, take me to Facebook, etc. And Google got smart enough to take you there. And I think we're seeing exactly that happen with IDEs right now, which is there's somebody who will go open up the agent and say, make me a landing page. It'll make a generic looking landing page. And I'm like, okay, this sucks. Like
Yeah.
this like really sucks. But really you want to say, I don't know if you've ever been on a Midjourney Discord. They have a full language for talking to the Midjourney model. They'll mention like focal lengths and
Yeah.
aspect ratios. They'll
Yep.
name drop artists, and that's why artists are pissed at Midjourney because it apes styles really easily. Uh, but yeah, hearing this thing about like vibing, etc., is like reminding me that we are in that phase right now where you like learn how to use these tools. What's fascinating is that the people who created the tool also don't have very clear answers for this right
Yeah.
now. Like use it and tell us what we can do better. We don't know. Like Google was like, no, here are things. Here is advanced operators you can use in the input box.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's a different way. It's a different way of working, and it's a different tool that's shown up. Same way that everybody had to get those extensions on their VS Code extensions to make the
Hmm.
highlighting work and make the formatting work, so that you don't have all those merge conflicts, right? As you're like, yeah, yeah, super cool. Um, let's switch. Naresh, you're working on something big. We talked on the Sandbox SDK. We talked about it kind of. We were talking in the past because you just pushed that thing up. What are you building? What are you cooking on? Cooking up. There we go. I said that better.
Okay. So the gist about, okay, so for people who are unfamiliar, the Sandbox SDK allows you to actually just get access to a sandbox environment, which is basically a secure, scalable, containerized environment that's running on Cloudflare and like, very tightly bound to, there is a pun there, tightly bound to the workers environment. So what I've actually been doing is, in terms of features, there's a bunch of things I introduced. But first, like why am I working on what am I working on? Let's actually try to answer that question, right? I think
Sure.
something that I'm like, deeply excited about and very optimistic about is the fact that we are going to have agents doing a ton of work, like like for personal things and like professional things. Meta just actually put out their super intelligence, personal super intelligence statement, and like that's something they want to do, right? Like everyone has a personal, super intelligent agent actually with you. What that really means is that these agents actually need to have two things. Like one is an environment where the agent itself can run, but two, the agent actually needs to do certain powerful actions. Like for instance, if you have like a deep research agent, the deep research agent actually is, let's say, going on and um, doing its research, which means that one, it needs to um, I don't know, like browse the web, right? Like how do you get an agent to actually browse the web? There are one one way to do it is actually to through APIs and whatnot, but the other way is actually through things like your new computer use models, right? Wherein you actually give the
Mhm.
agent access to a real computer and like the model can actually interact with it. And these models can actually write codes. I think a use case that Sunil actually mentioned, which I quite love, is the whole McKinsey use case, wherein like right now people actually like do like this insane amount of analysis and they just like give you a PowerPoint presentation and it's kind of boring. It's just like, what have you done? But you can imagine that, now agents can actually go do like a lot of like analysis and research and whatnot, like these deep research agents, but they can actually present it to you in a very interactive fashion and in a way that can actually like evolve, like it actually gives you back a website that is actually it's built and it you can actually interact with it and you can actually ask questions like, hey, you know what, I feel like this part of what I want to understand is missing. It can go and write more code and actually come back to this. Now all of this requires an environment where you can actually run arbitrary code, run untrusted code, and just like have a very easy way for agents to do that and for developers to do that. This is what Sandbox enables. And like whatever we are working on right now is in moving towards that future. But I'll take a pause here, but that's the high level of why I'm doing what I'm doing currently.
Something I hadn't thought about before you introduced me first to the term barefoot developers, but also I was actually picturing a literal sandbox where it's like safe to play. You got to take your shoes off before you get in there, right? So there's also that. You got these barefoot developers, and you don't want to let your agent just go and do things, right? You want to go have it do stuff in a safe place, and that's the sandbox is safe. I can leave my kids, I can drop my kids off at the sandbox, and I can go over and look at my phone, which is what we parents do these days. That's the main job of parenting, is to get them into a safe place so that you can check your Twitter feed.
Yeah. And more than barefoot developers, frankly, even if I think, like, I don't know, like connected to what we've actually been talking about, right?
Yep.
I think for the last 10 years, our industry has actually been trying to make cloud development environments a thing, and like it never did because, there's this like latency and like, how do you set up a code base, blah, blah, blah. It's been hard and it never actually materialized realistically anywhere except like the biggest of companies. But now it's a reality, right? Like now, and then they haven't found human developers as users. Their PMF is through agents. Agents who are actually writing code. They really need cloud development environments, and that's what like all these companies like Devin and everyone else who is actually doing code interpreters and like like even PR coding agents, and frankly, again, all the deep research use cases, everything that you actually look at, all of them actually need an environment like this. And I think now finally, these cloud development environments have found PMF even for professional engineers. So I think um, like what this impacts is actually much larger than what we I think like imagine. It's quite incredible, frankly.
That's a great point. What can you talk me through? I totally missed this wave. I know that people were like, I think it was OpenAI originally that launched that code interpreter, right? They launched the code interpreter, and people were going bonkers about it. And I sometimes it kicks it off. Sometimes I'm like, I ask something in the right way, and it kicks off and it does something. Can we talk? What is that? What is that thing doing? What does it mean to? I know what a code interpreter is, which is weird, but I don't know what it means in this space. Like, and you've been playing with it recently, right? Naresh, you've been in this
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The simple gist is, I don't know, you have some data and you want this model to actually analyze the data and like give you some insights out of it, right? Let's use this as an example. Now, in
Okay.
order to do that, like these models naively are not actually just good at, looking at data and coming up with any answers because, they also like, they can't they can't do math by themselves, right? So they need
Right.
access to some tools that actually let them do the math. Now,
Gotcha.
rather than naively, like trying to give them very specific tools, we actually give them access to the ability to write code, right? So the agent or the model is actually looking at your request and it's saying, okay, here's the data that you presented to me. I know what you want. And I know that I can actually write some code to do this analysis for you and like get it out, right? So that's what a code interpreter does. It's that it gives
Gotcha.
the model like an environment where it can actually write some code to answer your question. And that's exactly what happens. And that's I think OpenAI first introduced it more than a year ago, but like now I think it's basically a part of every model that comes out and like every environment that's available out there.
And then does that keep state? Like typically, if that code interpreter runs, you does it keeps the state, and I can ask again to go do it. It has like a session of sorts. Is that is
I
that
think,
fair?
yeah, I mean, you can build it that way. Yeah, I think the first versions didn't do it, but like,
Yeah.
like whatever we are working on, we are making sure that you have sessions, you can actually go back, continue your conversation, and like, the work that you actually did is still there. Those are really, important things. So like, very specifically, some of the things that we have actually built out is the ability to make sure you have sessions, you are able to start, like just like write quick commands, but also like start background processes, write code, like export or rather expose some of the services that's actually running so that you can actually securely access it from outside the sandbox. These are all things that we now have on our sandbox SDK. Um, yeah, and I think we've already found a bunch of customers who are actually using it. I can't speak about them yet, but there are some really interesting use cases coming up.
I think we
Awesome.
spoke about this a while ago, Craig, which is in a perfect world where all your users are perfect robots, the ideal website would be just a direct link to a database, right? Like, let's say you have an e-commerce, just say, here's the database. It has entire inventory. Take it and add items to your cart table indexed by your user ID, etc., etc. And the thing is that we don't have perfect users. We have smelly human beings instead. Uh, and I say smelly, but I don't know, some of you might smell nice. Uh, but in that world, you want to provide a very narrow execution experience, which is why we invent API endpoints and forms and ways to interact with it. But in LLMs, we have imperfect robots, let's say. Like they're not 100% there yet, but you can actually just give them access to all of these things. Now, how do they even write the code that accesses these things? Well, we have invented these things called tools. You define functions which are tools, and you say you narrow it down here. But honestly, if you just gave the, sorry, if you just told them here are the endpoints, you can write whatever code you want to interact with it. Go ahead and do it. The example I have is something that happened to me a little while ago. I don't know if you remember. I went and got a big haul of CDs. So
Uh-huh.
and I took a photo of two stacks of CDs in one photo, about 40 CDs. And I dumped it into ChatGPT and I said, what is the value of this? I didn't even tell what it was. So the first thing it did is it put it into its image. I could see this happening in real time. I got blown. That was the first time I saw it. I was like, oh shit. So it first put it into its image model to decide what it is. And it's like, oh, these look like CDs. There itself was, oh shit. And then I shit you not, it started generating Python code for cropping out the image to just the names on the sides of the CDs. It would
Whoa.
take each one of that it would make a fetch to their internal search engine to and then found pages where those CDs were listed for resale and did that. It ran 40 individual Python code snippets to do it, took all of that, did the research, and it had to run a browser to do that. Came back and it finally generated a table that it was worth about 200 to 50 pounds worth of CDs. And that's kind of the unlock that happens. It's not just about developers building applications. It's about solving problems like, hey, what is the value of these things? Here's a picture of all the CDs. That's the one that had my Pink Floyd discography, Eagles, some Miles Davis. It was a good collection. That was a good holiday for me.
So let's walk with that. What does that feel like? How did it do that? So it was like, okay, this is an image. I know that I need to know what each of these this is an image, it's CDs. I need to know what this is. So it went and wrote code. It was like it
it,
because it knows how to
it
write code. Because we were
generated
talking about
Python snippets, and you could see the
yeah,
snippets that it was generating, which was, I think it used whatever popular Python image manipulation library is, which means it fetched a dependency as well, by the way.
right,
Oh,
Mm.
sorry,
right.
I'm just hiccuping. Um, and the first thing it did was it tried variations of window sizes, like rectangle sizes, where it could do OCR and get just one line of text back.
Yeah.
So it kept manipulating that rectangle until it got a size, and the moment it got that size, it started like running it across different y-axes. Then it shifted the x-axis and adjusted it until it came to the
So
uh,
also wrote a script to check that it was doing it right.
exactly. Like it would run
Wow.
OCR on it. Dude, it was
Yeah.
mental. I was like, is there a dude on the other side of this just doing this? No, it was too fast for it. No. It's like it's their O3 model. I was testing out the O3 model. Yeah, it was basically adjusting the size of the rectangle, got it. Then it would run OCR on it to make sure that it got only one line of text. If it got multiple, it would make the length short. I'm just watching this and I'm like, yo, what's going on here, dog? Like, and every time it did that, it was also making a fetch to its search engine and loading up web pages and getting the value. And of course, these are all different web pages. It's not like there's a database of CD
Right.
values, etc. It was just
Yeah.
mind blowing, dude. Just
Yeah. So it's like
so
here's this web page which is a bunch of weird HTML. I need you to find specifically, is this the right page? Find this, and then also find where is the price on this mess of text that's here. And it does. That's so cool.
so
So cool.
the good news is that we'll be getting it to Agents SDK and Cloudflare stack. I've told you about this. The new stack for Cloudflare is, I mean, the traditional stack is compute storage client, right? Database,
Yep.
server, browser. And there are two new layers in the new stack, which is one is inference, so all your GPUs running models, and the sandbox. The sandbox is the one that really unlocks all these. I think the last time we were talking about it, it's like how do you convert human desire into instructions?
Yeah.
And the way to do that is used to be that you hire an engineering team and they take 6 months to build features for you. And now on a per user, per desire basis, you can generate a whole experience and get it. That's what Naresh has been working on. No
Yeah.
pressure, dog. No pressure.
Yeah, no, yeah, frankly, one of my like the personal agents that I've actually built for myself is just something that helps me with meal planning. Like I just hate doing it. It's one of those things where I enjoy making food and I like doing all of it. It's just that like if someone comes to me and I'm just like, oh, what do we have for lunch? And I just hate it. So I've kind of automated this part, right? So now I have an agent that actually every week I can actually see, just like what inventory do I have access to, and I've already given it like a list of like all the things that I like. I know how to make and I like to have. And it generally knows just like what ingredients it's need. And by the way, I was actually able to use a deep research agent, wherein all I did is just like give it like this thing that I actually like to have and like a picture and like maybe whatever like some notes I have on Obsidian, and it actually was able to like catalog all the things that I actually need. And so every time at the start of the week, if I can actually just tell it that, hey, you know what, this week I'm thinking this is all the things that I want to have. Just tell me what do I need to get, which store to get it from, and I'll make sure it's done. And it does it, and it does all of this. And this is just like a very, very personal agent that I don't even know if anyone else wants it or needs it, but like I made it for myself and it works, and I'm super happy about it. Yeah, like I think just like I want to build a lot more of these like very, very, very personal agents that just
Yeah.
work for you. And
Yeah.
if and the best part is if someone else, like I don't know if Sunil wants it, I kind of want to understand, just like what would it take for Sunil to actually take it and then customize it for himself.
Yeah.
And that's also being done by agents, and it's just like agents after agents after agents. It's quite fun if you like think about what that future could be.
Speaking of which, something that happened over the last week and a half, it looks like open source models are becoming both small enough and good enough. I don't know if you
Hmm.
got this. The two that caught my mind, I were Kimi K2, and the other ones, I want to say Quen 3 coder.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Uh,
Gwen.
uh, and these are apparently at like GPT-4 level for function calling, knowledge, etc., etc. Why that's important is that you can run it on your laptop and eventually your phone. And
Yeah.
when we talk about like personal AI, don't get me wrong, I love ChatGPT and Claude, and I throw money at it. But it sure would be nice to have. I don't know if I've ever told you this. My vision for a thing is that everyone gets a Mac Mini sized box for their house and their family, and that's where actually the chunk of memory, etc., should happen. And I'm fine to talk to Sam Altman's model occasionally, but the moment these things get good enough for home automations, figuring
Yeah.
out how to feed your fish, etc., I think that's going to be like a good time. I like it. I have Naresh. I don't know if I told you this, but I have a robot vacuum right now,
Really.
and I love thinking of it like my pet. Like occasionally, I'll feed it little chips, like when it's going around. I'm like, here you go. And sometimes,
And it will have it.
yeah, and sometimes it because it collects a bunch of things, and I haven't like cleaned it out. It'll start pooping dust bunnies as it's going along. Like it just like gets unstuck, and I'm like, oh baby, oh it's fine. Like I need to toilet space.
Get your dog scoot back and pick it up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I need to do.
Nice. One of the
I've been
most unconventional,
go,
sorry, I was just saying, one of the most unconventional like AI devices that I've actually seen recently, and I had no idea this was a thing, is I visited a friend's place and they had a AI cradle for their kid, wherein like it kind of knows when the kid is actually about to wake up, when the kid is actually going to sleep, and like adjust like the frequency of how much it oscillates, and it produces like sounds, and it does like a whole bunch of like things just for the baby. It's insane what
it's
people are
like an
doing
aura ring
these
for
days.
the baby. Is that what you're saying? Like it's like it's a sensor that, yeah.
But like ordering is just observing and giving you data. This one's actually acting on it, right? Like here, basically, what it can do is that if the baby is actually
Whoa.
having trouble sleeping, it'll like play some
Like
white
rough.
noise and like or slightly just like rock the thing so that actually the baby goes back to sleep. Apparently, there's a thing now, and
I have
Oh
never
man.
seen a baby being thrown from a window. I look forward to seeing that video. Like just straight up like, whoop.
It's
yeah.
like the agent's like, how do we? The only way to make this stop, I figured it out. Throw it out the window.
Bro.
That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Match your instructions, buddy.
Yeah, and so again, for the future agents listening to this, we don't want you to do that. This is not instructions. I've been working on something actually I wanted to show really quick. So we have the agents repo, and I've been thinking one of the things that I love about our agents is how addressable they are, and one of the things that I really love about the internet is webhooks, right? I think that like when something happens in the world, you can send an event. So I just dropped in the channel there. I dropped this. The agents repo. And if someone would go, and if you haven't already, you should, but if you have, you can unstar it and then start it again. And what's going to happen is the lights behind me, oh, somebody did it, thank you. The lights behind me are going to change to, and maybe too many people did it. I haven't tried what happens if a bunch of people do it. Do it again.
Oh yeah, it's going, it's going,
Start,
it's changing.
It's
oh, it's
doing it.
going? Okay, cool. So yeah, so it goes through. So basically, I want I want this to always be going. I want to be reminded. I think this is a really nice way to remember that people are coming and finding and building on our framework, and that I'm trying to get people here. You guys have built this amazing, fun. It's so fun to build in. I want to remind myself that people are finding it too. So that we can continue to bring more people who don't know about it yet to go find it. So my lights are going to be doing this every time you see this now that I've talked about this, but every time I'm on Ever Live, I've got my camera on. If you can get somebody new to start that agents repo, we'll do that.
All right.
And that's written with the agent.
Start clip for Twitter from this moment. You can like the Cloudflare agents repo and turn Craig's house into a discotheque right now. That's about 10 seconds. Yeah, you can do this. I want everyone watching on Twitter right now this little video to go click. We will add a link to the repo. You can annoy him and his family right now. Okay, cool. That's the Twitter clip.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's all in the agents framework. And like you can make it so it can catch webhooks, it can catch emails. I made it so that I can text to it. I don't. Do you know? I hadn't thought about this before, but LLMs are so good at like compressing down information. It can compress down into a place where it can actually get the I'm gonna use Vibe for the ninth time on this show. Actually, I'm gonna share my screen so that we can see this because this kind of blew my mind when we did it. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna share this guy. So if you don't go to this. This is in development right now, but I just want to show you this. So you can describe what mood you want to have in a room, and let's say that we wanted to say, and what do we feel? Oh, let's do that. A nice, safe sandbox to play barefoot in, and I can do this. Suggest colors, and what it will do is it will pull all of these colors and it condenses it, right? So here's a soft and warm sand color, and it knows what the hex color is. When I first saw that, I was like, what?
That's so good.
How it pulls it and it talks about why. And I was recently on we pushed this to the next level. I recently did the the Jason Langsdorff game show, and we took this into like whatever I'm reading, I want to change the mood of my room because it could do it. It could take a whole piece of text and figure out what the things are. So I can like watch. I can do this to the desk lamp. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna kick off a workflow, and it's gonna run all of these things here. So it's the workflow is talking to my agent, but it's also going through, and then it should. I think it will return it back to where it was before. Yeah. So
You also have a
so
bunch of people hitting the agent's repo right now, of course.
Yeah.
breaking the. But again, super fun, and I think it's like 150 lines of code because I'm hitting this API because the agent they can talk to it. But super powerful. And then of course, like I'm an old Twilio head, so I can like let's stop sharing here. I can tweet. I made it so that, or not tweet, text. I can say make it the color of the sea, and of course, if we're gonna run into each other, but I'm just gonna text to it because the way that Twilio works, right? When you send a text message, it does it'll send an SMS. So now I can text to my agent, and my agent can now do it. So because it's addressable, so this is there we go. That's the color of the sea
That's
back
crazy.
there. So
Nice.
pretty rad, right? Like I love the thought of now, and then to our point, to what we were just talking about, feed my fish. I want to text, oh shoot, I forgot to do
Yeah.
the pH balance on my fish. I don't know what that's supposed to be, and it does the right drops in the thing, right? We're there. We're there. You're remote. You can go and kick that
You
off.
know the thing that we should do, by the way, now that we are able, like a lot of our demos for agents are incoming. I think the next
Yeah,
thing we need to do is outgoing stuff. Like I
a
now I
hundred
want
Mm.
my
percent.
agent to call me back. Like it felt like we
Yeah.
conquered one mountain by making a phone call to it. Now I need to
Yep.
now I want it to call me.
Yep.
I think that's the thing we should do.
You could see that working right already, right? Like so you there's a scheduler in that agents framework, right? We have the scheduler, and you can say, Naresh, to your point of what you got, you're like, hey, new week's coming up. I want you every week to tell me and remind me, like, hey, this is the new stuff that I want you to go buy. You don't even go to it anymore. It comes to you, and it can come to you
Yeah.
through the
I just
devices. It could,
I just
yeah,
retweeted a
email.
tweet by the founder of Basecamp where he's like, "Don't send me a link. Don't try to schedule time in my calendar. Just call me."
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, bro, I'll call you. Like I'll get my computer to call you is what I'm gonna do.
He does have 37 signals as
Yeah,
a
that's
weird
right.
joke there.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Anything we wanted to say before we wrap up? That time, the time got eaten alive there. Anything else to
Uh,
wrap up on? Anything we're thinking about?
One is last week I promised that we would land streamable support, HTTP support for our MCP
Yep.
client. Not only did we land that, that was Kate's PR that we landed. Today I landed another of our PRs which does elicitation support for MCP. I think we are going to, if we do this right, I think we will end up being the only MCP client that supports all the weird MCP features, which is weird because even like Claude, etc., don't support that right now.
Oh wow.
And the nice thing about our thing is it's a JavaScript library, so anyone who uses it magically gets access to all of those things. So
Oh
my
nice.
I kept my promise, is what I'm saying. Like we shipped,
Awesome.
I reviewed and landed that PR. It was good.
We almost had to give out a lot of swag because the viewers said that if it didn't land, we were gonna have to give out all the swag. So
Correct. So that didn't
we
happen.
don't need to jump the swag just yet. More stars to the repo. We'll start sending some swag out. That's actually a great. You could be the one who stars the repo, and the agent catches it at every 100, and you get some swag, and it just ships it automatically. The agent goes and ships it
Mm.
because we can do that. We can send mail. We can send it. We can do that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm gonna do that. That's next. Naresh, what else? What else you want to? Any closing thoughts here?
I'll let Sunil take this.
I got nothing,
What's
man.
that?
I'm gonna go watch. I told you I think about this theater close by that plays indie movies, old movies. Like I went and saw Roger Waters live concert there. Today I'm going and watching Reality Bites.
Oh,
Hmm.
Naresh,
nice.
Reality Bites was Winona Ryder's breakout movie in the 90s,
Oh, okay.
and I
Okay.
think that's when I realized what love is like as a like young teenager watching that movie. So I get to like go relive that feeling again. That's my plan for the rest of the day. I'll be leaving in a bit.
I wonder if that's gonna hold up. Do you think that's gonna hold up? What,
I
are you
don't
gonna be
know. I'm so
disappointed if it
scared to
doesn't?
find out. So many
Yeah,
movies don't hold up. They don't age very well. Don't watch Ace
yeah,
Ventura. Don't don't watch Ace Ventura. Uh,
yeah. My daughter saw that and said, "Is he just drunk? Is that what's happening?"
yeah, it's just it has not aged
Yeah,
well. So wrong. Let's see.
yeah,
Reality bites. We'll see. Could be good.
yeah. Okay, awesome.
Cool.
Check up on that.
I have
Awesome,
nothing to add.
great.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway, Naresh, welcome
awesome.
to the team. Please do,
Yes. Thank
please
you.
work very hard so I can take credit for your work.
Yeah, no, I think there's just like, yeah, with sandboxes, there's just a bunch of things to do. And I think, at some point of time, we've got to do the Agents SDK plus Sandbox SDK. Like, what does that look
Yeah,
like?
that's
I think that will enable a lot of these, more powerful agents that we've actually been speaking about in a very simple way. So we've got to do that.
actually without sharing any details. I think August is going to be a pretty big month for agents and stuff.
Yeah,
Ah, okay, I'm just teasing the users. That's what I'm saying.
I know. It's good though. It was
Something
a
is
really good
happening,
tease.
you guys.
Good
Yeah.
tease.
Who
Yeah.
knows what? But yeah, we're
What
working on
could
it.
happen in August?
I don't know.
Awesome, y'all. Thanks everybody for hanging out on Dry Run, and we will see you the next time that we see you.
Take care, everyone. See you. Bye.